All right, welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're an entrepreneur, a startup founder, or a business leader, you already know the drill. Your mind is probably running a mile a minute right now, right? You're juggling pitch decks, you're managing investor expectations, putting out literally daily operational fires, and trying to somehow scale a massive vision out of thin air. It is exhausting. Burnout isn't just a possibility. For a lot of us, it kind of feels like a mandatory part of the job description. But what if there was a science-backed operating system specifically designed to help you not just survive, but actually enjoy the startup journey? Well, today we're unpacking a really fascinating framework. It's distilled from extensive research, and it creates a clear, actionable roadmap to maintain your mental baseline while you're busy building your empire. So this brings us to a massive question. Can founders hack their own happiness? I mean, you're totally used to hacking growth, right? Optimizing your supply chain, iterating on your product. But what about your own internal state? When your chaotic schedule dictates your entire life, from the literal second your alarm goes off to the moment you finally crash, happiness often feels like this luxury you just can't afford until, say, after the next funding round. But as you'll see in the source material we're analyzing today, it suggests otherwise. It suggests that happiness isn't actually the destination at all. It's the daily practice. And listen, this isn't just some motivational guessing game or wishful thinking. The source actually notes that hundreds of scientific researches point directly to these solutions. Hundreds. When that many studies converge on a single set of practices for living a happy life, well, we definitely need to pay attention. For a data-driven founder, this is basically the ultimate validation. The data is in. The patterns are crystal clear. We absolutely don't need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to human well-being. Okay, let's dive into this. Because all of that massive volume of research, all of those hundreds of studies we just talked about, they actually boil down to just 4 simple ways. Yep. 4 simple, highly actionable methods. And as entrepreneurs, we love simplicity, don't we? We love cutting through all the noise to find those high-leverage actions. The framework we're exploring today completely strips away the heavy complexity of psychology and just delivers 4 core daily operations that you can execute literally immediately. So, here's your ultimate daily roadmap. We're going to cover 4 key habits today: AM and PM gratitude bookends, the strategy of varied kindness, mindful body movement, and finally, the always happy baseline. All right, kicking things off with number 1, AM and PM gratitude bookends. You know, every entrepreneur's day is just a chaotic mess of variables that you cannot control. A client pulls out, a server crashes, your key developer resigns. It happens. But what you can control are the opening and closing bells of your day. By securing these 2 extreme ends, specifically before you sleep and after you wake up, you're creating this incredibly stable container for all those chaotic hours in between. You're basically framing the noise of the startup hustle with some intentional focus. Now, here's where the instruction gets super specific. Step 1, wake up. Step 2, take your time. Step 3, write things down. That second step right there, take your time, is absolutely critical. The source explicitly instructs you to take your time to write down a few things. It's forcing a deliberate pause. Look, as a founder, your first instinct is to immediately check Slack, right? Or your email or your metrics dashboard the literal second your eyes open. This rule forces you to break that reactive cycle and reclaim your morning well before the server inevitably catches fire. What's really interesting here is how you capture moments of gratitude throughout the entire day. Think about it. In the morning, you're setting the lens through which you're going to view all those upcoming challenges. Then in the evening, you're auditing the day that just happened. You're capturing those moments of gratitude before your brain starts inevitably spinning about tomorrow's problems. It's this beautifully complete, closed-loop system of positive reinforcement. Let's move on and see how this builds with number 2, the strategy of varied kindness. So once your morning bookend is set, you jump into the operational part of your day, right? Which is largely defined by your daily interactions as a leader. You're constantly dealing with your team, your customers, your vendors, the whole shebang. Regarding those specific interactions, the source gives us this exact and honestly brilliant quote: "Small acts of kindness toward people, not the same every day, but a mix." Notice the precision there. It doesn't just say, hey, be nice. It specifically mandates that these acts of kindness shouldn't be the exact same every day. You literally have to keep it varied rather than stagnant. So why is that variance so important? Well, if you fall into a predictable routine, like, say, buying the office donuts every single Friday, it really quickly stops being an act of kindness. It just becomes this expected baseline, right? It totally loses its impact. By introducing a mix of small acts, you're essentially creating what we could call variable ROI to keep your brain and your team's brains fully engaged. The entrepreneurial brain thrives on novelty. Avoiding a predictable routine keeps you highly present in your daily interactions. And this brilliantly illustrates what a diversified portfolio of kindness actually looks like during the work week. For example, Monday might be leaving a really thoughtful comment on a junior developer's code. Wednesday, maybe it's introducing two founders in your network who could totally help each other out. And Friday might just be genuinely thanking a customer service rep for handling a particularly tough client. It costs zero capital, takes almost zero time, but it drastically improves your startup's culture and, most importantly, your own daily happiness. Moving right along to number 3, mindful body movement. Now, this one is absolutely essential for founders. Why? Because as an entrepreneur, you're almost always living in the future. You're projecting revenue for Q4, you're stressing about your runways 6 months from now, you're imagining product updates that don't even exist yet. You're constantly in your head, out there in the future. The source identifies mindful body movement activities as actual core cognitive requirements. Engaging in mindful body movement physically forces you out of the future. It grounds your venture and your racing mind squarely in present reality. Think about it. You can't feel the ground under your feet tomorrow. You can only feel it right now. So the crucial point here is how the source breaks this down into a beautifully simple, highly actionable 3-part instruction. It starts with the absolute most basic physical act. Walk. Just walk. You do not need some massive, complex training regimen that you're inevitably going to skip anyway because you're quote-unquote too busy. You just need to step away from the monitors, step out of the boardroom, and walk. But walking isn't enough on its own. The second part of the instruction is feel it. Actually, I want to pause here for a second because this is huge. You have to actually feel the movement in your body. If you're walking around the block but you're angrily drafting a response email in your head, you are completely missing the point. The data demands that you connect the physical action with sensory input. Feel your muscles, feel your breathing, feel the impact of your steps. And that concludes the movement sequence with one final imperative. Be aware. Walk, feel it. Be aware. By stressing the need to be fully aware, the formula effectively anchors the stressed-out founder in the now. It literally hits the reset button on your nervous system. When you finally sit back down at your desk after being truly aware of your body's movement, your cognitive load is so much lighter and your decision-making is noticeably sharper. Which brings us to our final takeaway, number 4, the always happy baseline. All right, so we've established the gratitude bookends, the varied acts of kindness, and the mindful movement. Now we tie all of these daily operations into one ultimate overarching goal for your life as a leader. The source distills everything down to this exact, super powerful instruction: be always happy. Now, really look at that phrase. It's framed as an active state. It is not framing happiness as some fleeting emotion that you just kind of hope strikes you when you hit a major revenue milestone or secure Series A funding. No way. It's positioning happiness as a highly sustainable baseline for your business life. When you execute the daily roadmap we've just outlined, always happy transforms from an unrealistic dream into your everyday operating standard. Which leaves us with the ultimate question: will you make time for the simple things today? I know you're incredibly busy building the future, but the science shows us that the strongest foundation for that future is built on gratitude, varied kindness, and mindful presence. You have the roadmap now. The formula is proven. The only variable left in this equation is you. Will you integrate this operating system into your startup journey today? Thank you so much for exploring this framework with me. Use it well, and I'll catch you next time.